Hi, this is Matthew Weiner, and we're doing episode 6 of season 4, Waldorf Stories. And I am here with
Scott Hornbacher, director of Waldorf Stories.
And Brett Johnson, co-writer.
And as you know, in episode 5, we saw that the agency is sort of fighting for its financial life, and Don has pulled this move on his self-proclaimed competitor, Ted Shaw. And we've seen throughout the season that Don has really started drinking heavily, and part of the story of this was this was close to rock bottom. The combination of Don.
Cure for the common bus. Lazy boy, the cure for the common chair.
There's a couple of characters introduced in this episode. Danny, who is Danny Strong, who actually this part was written for. He's a writer who wrote Recount, and an actor from Buffy and so forth, and the part of Stan, played by Jay Ferguson. But the agency is expanding. They're adding people. And the idea here was to do a must-hire. This is a story we had for a long time, which is somebody who, because of their connection to Roger and the agency, they would have to hire him.
That's Roger's favorite.
This scene is something that was like, it's just this is when I think when dry humor is executed well on the show, and Danny's sort of arrogance and obviously his size and so forth. But
why is it in your book?
Yeah, I mean, Danny did a great job of playing it very straight. But the idea that this guy comes in really knowing nothing, pretending like he knows everything is, I think people have had that experience in real life before.
Yeah. And part of the theme of the episode is that this is sort of about about ambition and about how you get your job. And, obviously there's Don's story, but I mean, everything the guy says in the audition here is viable. It's just he doesn't have the goods.
Right. It's great. And I remember actually the very first draft that you did of this. I remember you reading it to me in the room, and I could not even.
Wish you the best of luck.
because he
And what?
You trailed off there.
You trailed off.
I also love that I'm not good at judging people's ages, as Carrie Audino and Laura Schiff will tell you, but I knew he wasn't 24. And we love this idea, too, that he was also lying about how young he was. And of course, having the same ad over and over again, and this tagline, which Josh gave us, which is such a hacky tagline. Although, I mean, it's a working tagline, but it's not as good as Don.
Right.
But also there's this thing that goes on in the episode, people fishing.
Right.
I'm 25.
Oh, that's true. Fishing for compliments. I mean, to me, obviously, this is self-referential. This aired on the night of the Emmys, which is a complete coincidence. But the idea that there's this I and we going on where Don is thinking about his own work and how he basically does everything, and Peggy is looking for recognition.
Well,
And as usual, all the information is sort of given to you as if it's already happened. I mean, Stan is already there, but we've never met him. Peggy sort of tells Stan later that she's responsible for it, but these emotions are very much related to the emotions of the experience of success, which is...
Sure. Ownership, authorship.
Right.
Who's really responsible for the success of something?
And what is the value of an award? Because you really, really want it, and it's embarrassing to want it. And Don's sort of in that realm.
Good for the agency.
And what's the value of the original idea, as opposed to making it actually into a commercial?
Or what is the original idea?
Right.
We're very behind.
But I love that Peggy's ambition is starting to show. We know now that she's kind of protected in some way, but she also has no authority.
New art director too, and you have a deadline.
Responsibility without authority.
Yeah, that's
There comes a time in anybody's career, if they're ultimately going to be successful, where that happens.
You are.
And I also love the inner workings of the creative part of the agency, because Don is part suit now. He's always looked like he's part suit, but he really is part suit, and he is established at the beginning of the season. Peggy also putting that drink down. And here's Roger's book that he'd been talking about. One of the things that's great about this scene to me is not only that Slattery really does seem like he's ruminating, but that he asked her this embarrassing question about why is everything about my childhood, and we had that she doesn't answer, and I just love her look. Like, I don't want to say anything because it'll embarrass you.
I don't want to tell you that you're completely narcissistic.
Right.
She was amazing in that.
And we also wanted to establish before we did any of the flashbacks or anything that this was a special day because it was the awards day, and that Don is in a particularly good mood because he's nervous about it, but he's excited. And I just loved when I saw the dailies of this, how much they really let go on I mean, this is a Don you haven't seen. He's really laughing.
Yes. But I also think there's an interesting thing going on, or I always felt that the way Don is presenting this information to Roger as a joke, as laughing it off, sort of takes the heat off him for not doing what he was asked to do, which is to hire the guy.
Right. And Roger doesn't let it go. And he's talking about how he's going to have to buy his wife something nice if he doesn't hire him.
Right.
But then we see that he was buying something nice a long time ago. And this, of course, we established a long time ago that Don was in the fur business, but we decided this is how they met.
I always love how John Hamm makes this shift to this more Dick Whitman-esque
Right.
persona where he's guileless and grinning, and it sort of parallels what he was just doing in the scene with Roger, because there was a little bit of unbridled joy in him, which you don't usually see, but I think that John, as an actor, knows that this is part of Dick Whitman, and he brings it up.
Well, the weird thing to me is it's not that much earlier. We figured the timeline out, but the kind of salesman patter that he's giving here is like very...
Yeah, I think it's just I mean, he's a salesman in advertising, but it's just a whole different type of sales when you're, selling to a CEO of a company as opposed to some guy that walked in maybe looking to buy a coat. You got to be aggressive.
The stakes.
I love that we had the thing in there that Roger puts on the mink, but then when I saw the dailies and he's actually like looking at it and modeling it. Oh, and this little poster here, this Easter egg for everybody, which was a huge amount of work.
Yes.
To get that right, to do the photo shot.
It was actually fun to shoot it, though. January is amazing.
Yeah.
Can I give you a call? First of all, you need 20 of those. And second of all,
And that this is we know how the story ends. I love telling a story like that, too.
Right.
But we don't know how it happened. We know that he ends up working there. And that Don has been doing his advertising on his own, which he told us in the wheel.
Right.
And still in this flashback, this to me is like an incredible execution of makeup, hair, scenery. That their performances here of their life. We've seen scenes after this, the first season, where it was like this was the best year of my life. But they obviously been seeing each other for a while.
Right.
We didn't know that this is...
Right. At that time, I'm not going to lie, I did not know that this scene was going to ever be happen.
But the audience didn't know.
Right.
Really, right?
No.
I have to say this is one of the easiest scenes to execute in the whole episode, just because just because the actors, I think, wanted to do this scene so badly, and
this is an ad that I had in that I'd helped a friend of mine do. I thought it was a good period feeling for an amateur advertising, but it was clever. And there's this coat on the floor thing, which is kind of a cliche, but I loved it because it fits the whole 50s mood of it. Hair, makeup, everybody went with Janie was so excited about putting Christina in a 50s Marilyn Monroe. The cleavage was already out of style by the time the actual show started in 1960. So.
Right.
I think Christina was worried because the dress was so tight that she didn't look good.
Funny.
And she's so amazing.
I don't
She's so
even
amazing.
know what to say.
Right.
There was too much time. The scene cut together. It looked exactly like it looks right now the first time I saw it, and we still worked on it because Christina looked so good.
Right.
have a work story.
Finally have a work story.
Right. So here we are establishing that Pete has been like getting business in here, and we see the team. We see everybody's job, and we see the fact that Peggy is fishing to go to the awards, which she's not going to get to go to.
Right.
And establishing the idea that, the whole plot was always that Don was going to become sort of unhinged and have I was interested in showing, and we were trying to do it the whole year, that when his drinking, the audience loves his drinking, they love their drunkenness, they think it's funny, he is an amazing drunk, and that there would be some point where you would pull the rug out from under him and say, like, this is the limit of Don's drinking. This is where he gets overconfident. He has a blackout. Consequences of it.
I think in the beginning we sort of had said that this is sort of what the audience wanted in season 4, where Don is in this episode, which is that he's having fun, he's drinking, he's going out, he's getting laid, and then it's like this is what that is.
Yeah.
But the fruits of that are not so good.
This was, we wanted to establish that Stan was really good. Just as a side note, it's fascinating, and it's in the episode. We could not find out who made this ad. We know DDB made it. but they have no records of the human beings that thought of these ideas, and it's a really magnificent ad that was not ever aired. But I love that this is how we meet Stan. We heard about him, that he's arrogant, and here he is showing his reel to the secretaries.
Yep.
And his disrespect for Peggy, which is a whole new level of kind of artistic freedom that goes along with it. And Jay came in and nailed this. I love his his physical presence is really amusing to me.
And it's interesting. He's bragging about something that is it's strong and well
bragging about, yeah.
well, but it never aired. You know, so he's
never
dining
aired,
out
yeah.
on.
Right.
He's bitter.
Right.
Should I get Megan back in here?
And then
Not repressed.
this story came from Davi Waller, whether she wants us to say that on here or not. But this was as a college student, she had this argument with someone, and they did end up naked, and they did not have sex. And we just loved that this was Peggy's establishment of dominance and how this was going to be pulled off. I was terrified, but the way the argument comes up in here was something that we worked on the most in the script to make sure that it was sort of organic, because I never really understood what they were fighting about.
It was very difficult, the logic of his argument and figuring out how that was going to lead as a counterpoint to the, ultimate domination by her.
So here's the awards experience. This set piece of the awards is really, I have to compliment you, Scott, and Dan Bishop, obviously, and Janie, and Scott Poole, who does locations, and just the props, everything, this crowds. Our gentleman who was in the script with the Beatles haircut, the feeling of that, of it being an award ceremony, but it's not like, this is not the Oscars. And
Yeah, not hardly.
yeah.
The low stakes of it was sort of the most entertaining thing about it to us, and the category that they're in for cleansers, waxes, and polishes
Yeah, we
was
kept
something
laughing.
we found that, and it was like a piece of gold.
But,
Yeah.
but there's a great thing, and it's certainly in the writing, that, even though the stakes are low, there's obviously an importance and an anticipation going on here. They want to win. It doesn't matter that it's not.
Right.
Last time I saw the general, he had a parrot in his shoulder.
That was not a business proposition.
Catch more flies with honey.
So here we have Pete and Joan working the crowd. Joan is there because she's Joan. And, we're getting to see, here's Ken Cosgrove, we're getting to see that this world is complete.
Mr. Cosgrove,
You've got, we researched the Cleos down to the bone. Brett really did an amazing job on it. And the fact is that this was such a drunken affair for the first 5 or 6 years of it that no one really had any recollection of how it worked.
Yeah, I talked to many people who were at it, and they couldn't tell me hardly anything about we knew that they didn't give speeches because none of them could remember giving a speech, but they had definitely won.
Right. And they gave 50 awards.
Right.
And so there's always this thing going on about success, and is this going to be empty, and how's this going to make Don feel about himself to actually succeed? It's sort of like when he in the gold violin, when he got his big raise and everything. So I love this little creeping in here. We have John Aniston, who's the master of ceremonies. Pete is very intense about this. The awards naturally have a structure, like, are you going to win or not? And I think the whole episode could have been about this, but it's not. It's about seeing the old world, and here's Duck.
Which is a great moment because you see Don's tension and then Duck's antics break the tension, puts a lot of modulation into the scene in a good way.
There's also a high feeling of embarrassment here, and that they, this guy is an alcoholic. That's trouble. I would have to compliment John Hamm on his ability to gauge his alcoholism over a few episodes. The levels of drunkenness, they increase finally into the suitcase. But
I'm afraid that'll be the limit to the public speaking portion of our show.
we had a lot of discussion about who was in bow ties, who would be there, and we like to populate the world with the people that they would run into there.
In the first category, that of apparel.
And Don's actual anxiety, which John Hamm conveys very nicely. We had a machine to shoot the pencils into the ceiling. People can do it. I don't know anyone who can do it from a seated position. But this was Jay's first scene in the show. And we really, that we shot. And it really comes in with this, I'm sure it's scary to come in and be in a scene with Lizzie. And he knows the show. But I just love the whole person you get here. This arrogance. He's amused by her.
Cowboy thing on it. I don't know
And
if it was that
one of the great things that I love about great actors, completely unafraid. I mean, you look at Mark Moses playing drunk in that scene, and you look at this guy here, at Jay Ferguson, his ability to get up and like, I'm gonna riff, I'm gonna speechitize for a minute here. You just see a completely unembarrassed person. And I also love Peggy's pettiness here.
And there's part of the problem that they're experiencing in their work relationship is they're both kind of completely self-absorbed. Right. She thinks she doesn't need him. He doesn't think he needs anyone. And at this point, the great thing is because we don't really know him that well, we have no idea of whether he really has the goods. I mean, because the truth is, who really made that ad?
Right, we don't know. Right, he's just taking his word for it.
I have no interest in the temperance movement.
Carrie Nation.
Although when you can make insults like that, you've got to be pretty good.
Yeah, exactly. There was a thing in the sound work in this scene is really worth noting also. Not just the mixing, but also everything that was added in terms of like the quantity of the applause, the sort of, 50 awards, the tepidness of the reaction. But we wanted to feel Don's joy, and I love the two hands being held here. This is something that's stolen from about 80 Billy Wilder movies.
Yeah, well, I mean, two things that were in the script that I immediately responded to was the fur falling off in the Joan and Roger scene in the hotel room onto the book. I loved that, and this hand grasping because it tells such a story about where they are.
And it's kind of an old-fashioned moviness, and I love to hear how weak it is. It's big for them, but it's just another award. And John's exuberance here. This is not alcoholic. This Clio was a big deal too. It's hard to explain. As modest as this seems, it was commercially a big deal.
Well, there's something totally intimate that we're seeing with these characters in their shared success in their new agency. I don't think we ever have seen it before.
Right. And I also love that there's that ad playing there. That it was pulled off so well. Blake figured out how to do it, and you did it practically at the time. And here's Megan in this insane outfit that I approved because Janie's like, she's got to be seen when she comes in. I'm like, okay. But I love this. Josh Weltman gave us this line, right? Let's put a cherry on this thing.
Yeah.
Like the ultimate. I just love the drunken attitude that now that you're going to be even more successful, that the overconfidence from alcoholism as opposed to like just sloppiness.
And Pete's total dismay.
Pete is taking it very seriously. This life serial thing matters to him.
Yeah, and Don, after winning the award, comes into this meeting like he's a gift to them.
Right.
This is also this scene in particular is a great scene establishing how much Harry has come into his own, which is something you've talked about all throughout this season in being the media guy.
And I love feeling the whole agency here, feeling our amazing set here. It's shot from, this is like the first one that's sort of shot this way. Chris has gotten complete control over the late afternoon light. It's still winter. And establishing that they've all been drinking. And let's talk about John. The victory lap was important. Slattery will love this. Jimmy Olsen. You can feel how happy they are and how drunk they are and how light it is. And everyone who's worked there, this is one of the scenes where guys from Madison Avenue came up to me and said, like, yeah, I've done that drunk pitch. The clients were drunk, we were drunk, everybody was happy. But I want to talk about John's hair, John's like openness,
Yes, well, I mean, he's completely, in this drunken moment. He's feeling good about himself. He's managed to pull off this slight sloppiness in his speech.
Right.
Everything about him makes you know that he's drunk. And there's no way to mistake it in the room that he's drunk.
And of course, the content of the speech, the reference to the carousel. That this nostalgia thing, like the idiot's version of the nostalgia thing. Of course, he's going to lean on that. That was one of his most successful pitches.
Right.
And also, just production-wise, this is my littlest son Ellis. I've employed yet another family member, but that we have how hard it is to come up with a slogan that's good.
Right.
Give him a good reason to reject it, which is not hard because clients, you never know what they're going to like.
Right.
And then have him sort of bury this stolen idea in the middle of it because he's drunk.
Right.
And he's already, as you said, he's sort of already stealing his own idea.
Right.
From the carousel. And, resonates because, he is at this moment, he's supposed to be enjoying life, right? He's had this big affirmation of his business success.
And there's no one who would not like to have someone who's just won an award coming to pitch to him. He has some reason for overconfidence,
Right.
but it's drunken confidence. He is not connected to the experience in that room.
And also, realistically, I mean, when I talked to Josh about this scene, he said, where Don is at this moment, and the guy's basically rejecting it, it's not possible to walk away with a win. What your goal at this point is in an advertising meeting is to get back to 0 and have another meeting.
Right.
And that's why Pete is just freaking out when Don starts to do this, because he's trying to take it from a -2 to a +2.
Right.
Don, they're not expecting you to do this right now.
Give me a second.
This was fun to write all these bad
The
things.
reason to get out of bed in the morning.
Yeah.
And
He delivers them so
I know.
well.
They're all amazing ideas.
And you see him coming up with them in his eyes.
There you go. Cure for the common breakfast. Love it. It's got the health angle.
And,
Whoops.
Yeah.
Life makes you
Peggy,
feel better.
Peggy
Got protein.
going from should I stop this to I can't stop this to we've got to undo it.
All with no lines.
Yeah.
And then Pete, actually, at this point, the client is actually latched onto something. At that moment, he's like, okay, great.
Yeah.
Who cares if it sucks?
Pete loves it. And it's also a great scene because it's all three of the stories all intersecting in one room.
That's
It's
true.
Pete becoming the adult, Peggy having to, sort of be the adult too, and Don just look at what he's doing.
Right.
I'm done. Let's go.
I love that when you hear a little of John's Midwest. Let's go. And this was all in there. That her helping him out with his coat, him handing the thing, and Randy did an amazing job with this.
Yeah.
I did mention at some point that I wanted her to move that wig. I did not know it was going to be. She picked this scene, right? This is
Yes.
she. Yeah, I did not know this was going to happen. When I saw these dailies, this is another one of these things where I was just like a huge Easter egg.
And we did not know, man.
Right. And Don's capriciousness with this is also more overconfidence. And we love also that she loves Stan. She calls him Stanley. She likes him. She doesn't like anybody else.
Right.
What were we going to say?
I was just going to say it's interesting, too, that, there's just a sliver that separates Peggy from actually going through with this because Don's angry at her, so she thinks that she has to do it. But, she's having a conversation with Miss Blankenship about whether this is even real.
Right.
So what makes her acquiesce, Just a decision in her own mind that...
And I think Miss Blankenship's very convincing. She's basically saying, I've been doing this longer than you, honey, and you want to go and have a conversation with him about whether he wanted you to do it, you have to do it.
Right.
This, progress in Pete's story here, this Pete-Ken story of Pete sort of... This was, to me, was like a big... This is one of these episodes that has so many stories in it that you kind of forget that it all happened in the same episode. But I always felt like thematically what held it together was people fighting for status in their employment, people trying to make their breakthrough, people trying to channel their ambition into what is going to produce the best result for them. And Lane telling him that he went behind his back and did this because Pete is so important to the agency, and Pete telling Pete that we're in this together and you have to be bigger than that. I don't know if I ever buy it. I'm sort of with Pete on this.
Right.
I think the audience has to be also. And I love the way Lane says Mountain Dew.
You think Lane is rationalizing his dishonesty.
I do.
But I do think that no matter what,
But he's very convincing.
we've seen Pete in this
The
situation
accent.
so many times before where people have undermined him or doubted
Right.
him, and he's gotten belligerent because
He's flown off the handle, yeah.
he believes that he deserves more. And this does represent a shift because ultimately he's listened to in this, and
Right. And he takes control of the situation in a kind of act of dominance that's unprecedented
yes,
for him.
Uh-huh.
Pains me to hear you say otherwise.
And I do believe that Lane really likes him. And Lane is very, this is the thing in business. It really does matter what people think. So here is yet another location. I love the vibe in here. I love the way it's shot. This stuff with the general was basically just to show how drunk they were and the world of advertising. And the three of them, Roger, no. Don's always warning Roger. He warned Lane in the comedy club earlier. It's
well, they're celebrating and they're riffing and they're enjoying each
Right.
other.
And there is, to me, one of the things that makes advertising attractive, because it is a lot like show business, is the absolute disrespect for authority on every level.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the theme of it, Doesn't get any sweeter than this.
And the great thing is, when Ned, the other ad guy, congratulates Don, Roger says thank you because he's stinging from not getting any credit for this.
Right.
It was very nice meeting you.
Okay, let's talk about this. I mean, just to see her in that dress, of course she would be there.
See the part where I won?
I love
Heard about it.
Don's, the last conversation they had was slightly intimate, but the full romantic press here
Gray won. Everybody won.
and his revelation about his ambiguous feelings, but also just this whiff of intense romance. This scene is so sexy to me.
Yeah.
There's so much chemistry between the two of them.
The actors totally understood this.
Yeah.
And Don is much better at drunken pitching
You're incredible.
to a girl than he is to a client.
And we also know later on.
I love the way that she turns away for the sniff. I'm sorry. We
Well,
also know.
I was just going to say, we also know later on that she probably at this point has a boyfriend, which helps to explain. So you can see it in her eyes, because like.
I always felt, I mean, I know that was part of the thing, and I don't know if we told her that, but I always felt that this was about a lot like the Christmas party. Like, who's going to want to be with this guy who's this drunk? This is an impulsive.
Right.
This is not the beginning of a relationship. It's like Bethany. I could
Right.
put out on the first date, but if I want to have any future with you, this is not the way it's going to be.
Right. And it's such a new dynamic for him, having been a married guy, where
Right.
any girl who's going to sleep with him would sleep with him in this
And they know
condition
it,
because
because he's married.
he's married, and that's what this is about.
And she can see his flaws and his self-doubt and sort of cynicism in the way he talks to her.
Right. Absolutely. And we can hear also that this award is not really produced to see it as an actual confidence. It's made him think about who he is. And here we've got our Playboy, and I
know you're his favorite.
thought this was going to be tough. This incredible string of insults about Peggy and how she's not a woman to him.
Work or just stare at pictures of women who can't stare back.
She
understand, but
her argumentative nature is actually defeating her here. I think it's one of the things that kind of works about her getting naked is
So why aren't you a nudist?
it's really about winning. And that's what we got from Davi, is that it wasn't about sex, it wasn't about anything. It was like, you are a chicken shit.
Right.
And you really want to do this? Let's do this. You can't handle it.
It was so confusing to all of us, especially the men in the room, how they were able to get naked and then not have sex with each other.
And feel victorious that his erection basically proved their point.
Right.
Took
a lot to wrap our minds around that.
Well,
I had no problem wrapping my mind around the arrogance. And also I have to say, Janie gave me something here too, which is I really, really wanted her to be in the most unappealing undergarments, easy to get out of outfit in the world, and just to see that there was like, see her contrasted to Playboy.
Mm-hmm.
What were you saying?
You know that?
And you're chicken shit. I can work like this. Let's get liberated.
I mean, the actors made this so very easy because they just played it so well. I mean, and I think that Peggy knows that she is in a like sort of fight to the death about who's going to prove their dominance in this relationship.
Yeah, you cannot continue to not respect me. Now I'm going to prove this to you. You're going to treat me like a little boy, because you only respect women that are sex objects, and because you have so much arrogance about who you are. This is another one of these things where we wrote this script. I knew it could be done. I was so glad that I did not have to do this. And the Austin Powers-ness of, these obscured bodies and so forth, I think you really do forget it. I think that I don't miss seeing anything. And you also, as an audience, I think you are drawn in by the fact that Lizzie is so beautiful here.
Yes. And let's just make sure that everybody knows that Jay, as an actor, went totally commando here in this scene.
Actually did.
But I think that he did it for a reason, because I think it helped him as an actor.
His performance in that is pretty great.
Now, David Carbonaro wrote this little sting in here. This was something that came to me. This was not in the script that you guys had worked out in editing, where there was this little transition here of like how much drinking has been going on and how much time has passed. And I love it. It feels like a period movie. And it also, there is so much elongation and shortening of time that has to do with being that drunk, that we've sort of, even though we're locked into time in the Peggy story, we did want this to feel like you don't know when it is.
And here's another instance in the storytelling in the script where Roger is having to play second fiddle to Dawn.
Right.
He's with Joan, he can't have her. A beautiful woman comes up. He thinks that she might be interested in him, and immediately she asks about Dawn and walks away from him.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. I love this little scene too, because I love how intimate they are. And I love her cutting him off.
You've crossed the border from lubricated to morose.
The audience should know that when you shoot a scene with Christina and John Slattery, it is this easy. The conversation between them, it's just where it goes.
Right.
They can give you anything. They may choose to do something you don't want to do, but they calibrate. They do everything.
Do I know you?
And here we're back in our Sterling Cooper lobby,
Heller's Luxury Furs?
and
Oh, the fur guy.
Janie has done a great job of giving us a slightly different look for Roger and a really different look for Don. And here's Don being Danny.
Yep.
You know,
Right.
he will not give up on this.
An annoying persistence.
Yeah.
And I also love in this scene how Don tries to persuade Roger by appealing to the fact that he must have been trying to get a break once too, when we know that Roger basically inherited a company and never worked very hard at all and was just given something. And
But the great thing about these scenes where Don is trying to win over Roger is that you really do see the underpinnings of his skills as a salesman, because it's like the Lucky Strike pitch in the pilot, where he has to come up with something on the spot. That he never gives up. He keeps selling until he...
And I also love that he takes advantage of, which is something that's kind of like a rule-breaking thing. You won't read about it in a sales book, but he has the ability, and not everybody can do this, but he goes into an intimate place, a sort of admission of defeat.
right.
And here's Roger's misinterpretation of that statement, which I love, which is a kind of thematic thing in here.
And just like Don says to Danny,
Yeah.
he says, I don't think that's how that goes.
Right. The misuse of aphorisms is pretty...
But that one really tells you about Roger, too.
It does. It's a great one.
Be careful what you wish for, because you might get it, is the expression. And it's Roger's mother said it, you'll get it. Of course you're going to get it, but everyone's going to be jealous of you.
Right.
Again, gauging of drunkenness here. This is a very dangerous territory with less experienced and less facile actors. This move, I wanted to stabilize. The camera was a little bumpy, and then we realized that right when he gets up, there's a bump in it, and it makes it feel drunker. So we left it in there, and I love that texture.
So you use cough drops when you're sick in bed on a
You know,
car trip.
and there's also an economy to these scenes, which I love also. They're very short. And when we were breaking the story, we kept thinking, like, how many pieces do we need in the hotel? How do we build this up? How quickly does Stan get to it?
Maybe I should
and-
put that thing in some ink and write with it.
Stop looking.
Lizzie's and Peggy's sexual forwardness is really what the surprise was. That's the part that I hooked into that made sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and the great thing is in this scene, you see it immediately. The tables have already turned at the beginning of the scene.
Look at that look.
You know what? Fine.
And he would give up.
Yep.
And he would,
Are we
with
getting
the help of the
this
sound department, go in and take a cold shower. There is no shower there, I will warn you, but I love that they...
You win.
When what?
Win the prize for the smuggest bitch in the world. I gotta take a leak.
Even in defeat, he's still giving it to her. And, you know, with these hotel rooms and these sets, it's just like you get it. It's a totally different texture. This is not a hotel room that Roger and Joan were in. This is not a hotel room where Don lived.
I'm hungry. Do you want anything?
Rubbing it in.
Yeah. Total victory. She needed a victory. She's just definitely. So here we are. Don has taken this woman home, and he's really drunk. And polishes. That was the other thing. One of the other things that Brett felt was that besides cleansers, waxes, and polishes, what was the other?
Cake mixes and toppings is what she won for. Or she wrote the jingle for, which consisted of probably a couple of lyrics thrown over the Star Spangled Banner.
No. The Star Spangled Banner was put in here because it's public domain.
Right.
No, I think she actually had another jingle, but she's humming that because he'll recognize it. And here we have, to me, like a great sort of cinematic experience of the dark part, the lost weekend part of Don's life here. Sun comes up, phone rings. We don't know how much time has passed. We know it's morning, but that's one shot. And I love the way you pulled this off. And
Who could that be?
exactly.
So you finally decided to pick up the phone. Where the hell are you?
I guess Betty doesn't know he won a Clio.
Where the hell are you?
January totally got this immediately, right? She was like, I know, I've been waiting for him, I got it.
For someone who is obviously not coming. I know.
And how much time had passed. And this mislead here with the woman in bed.
And
It is Sunday.
I mean, you'd think that there can't be a sicker feeling than this, and to be called to say you're late because you're drunk and hungover,
And you missed,
missed
picking up your kids
picking up your
by
kids
a day.
But then it actually gets worse.
It does.
And the thing that really makes this work, and the reason why this woman really, to me, hit this out of the park, was her enthusiasm.
I can't believe we slept so long.
She's having a really good time.
Yeah, and she's so cutesy and romantic, and it's just,
It's perfect.
yeah. And him putting this together, it's tough. It's tough because he always tries to keep it real because he can't show her that much.
Right.
Really
And
sorry.
I love this kind of this awkwardness and him lying his way out of it. And now I'm going to take my picture. The details that are thrown in from the last 24 hours.
Right. He wasn't just sexual with her; he was actually intimate with her.
I actually think that was him in the diner just like flirting with her.
Right.
While he was with the other woman.
Right.
And then the other woman got mad and left.
Right.
That was my version of the story. But the audience can, put together whatever you want. All you know is that he was trying really, really hard to get her into bed.
Well, whether he was
Charming.
trying to be intimate or not, she took it as intimacy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Told her his real name.
And then the fact, right?
Oh, yeah. That's
The fact that he
Nice.
unknowingly revealed himself to her in such a dangerous way.
I love that. I
Siraj.
love that shot. And I love his
Great time.
No eye contact.
yeah. Shame.
Really sorry. I
Deep,
forgot I had
deep shame.
plans.
And she knew it was a one-night stand. I don't know if she thought it would end that badly.
Yeah.
Another cold shower.
It's the ultimate way to get rid of somebody.
Well, I just wanted to I love the way you conveyed this cinematographically. We had a push in here on him also, but it just seemed so much lonelier and horrible right here. I think it is creeping a little bit.
I think we talked about doing it both ways, and we did, if I remember.
Yeah.
This cut.
I love that shot. I love the sloppiness of it. I love the stuff floating in the glass. And here we have another light effect that shows what it's like to how drunk he is. And he doesn't, just to me, what this is about, I mean, the guy's always been drinking. He does not want to feel anything.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to change his state and escape in some way. And it gives him confidence. It gives him all kinds of other feelings. But this is a severely depressed person here.
Well, he either has to be obliviated or in some sustainable form of denial.
Yeah.
To do what, he's doing most of the time.
Right.
As a human being,
Yes.
not as a admin.
And he's totally lonely.
You okay? I tried to call you Friday night, and yesterday it rang and rang.
I felt when she opened the door here, I can smell this apartment.
Mm-hmm.
Can I come in?
And here's Peggy putting her foot down about this idea. And I love that him hearing the information about Danny's pitch and how bad it was. And he keeps saying it's terrible. I would never do that. It's
I
awful.
know you don't
Right.
want to hear this.
It's we're not doing it. We're not doing it. And she basically says, yes, you're going to fix this.
It was that kid's. Roger's idiot.
Eat Life by the Bowlful. We worked on that for weeks.
In a normal show, she would have said Danny
Right.
because the audience knows him as Danny. But in real life, I don't think Peggy knows his name.
Right. Roger's idiot.
It's that kid.
And I love the detail that they'd been working on Eat Life by the Bowlful for weeks.
I love the idea that he has had no recollection of sending her to the hotel room.
The look on her face. You don't need a line. So amazing.
Well, she had a line in there. I think, we cut
she
it
did,
out.
and
Yeah.
we cut it out because look at her.
No. I've been working all weekend with that pig in that stupid hotel room. I'm tapped out.
What hotel room?
Here it is.
Yeah, it's amazing.
You have to bring him in right away. Tomorrow.
She's taking care of him, but she's holding him true to himself. This is a low point. It cannot get any lower to me. To me, we talked about this, where this was going to happen. Stealing this kid's idea, inadvertently, inadvertent as it wasn't because Don is creatively bankrupt. It's because he's sloppy.
Right.
And stealing this kid's idea was the low point to me of his behavior.
Yeah.
And there's also a great thing in that scene about just the level of intimacy that they've achieved in their relationship.
Chris Manley was talking about this when we were doing episode 1 or episode 2 about this is his favorite shot of the column, use of the column in Pete's office. Was that point of view?
Well, I love Jared's Lane's recognition of, okay, Pete's got something he's
Right.
got to do here.
Right.
He actually like, okay, I respect that.
Here's the amazing hallway.
Good morning.
Call the pen and pencil, see if someone found my award.
What's the category?
Best actress.
that was your joke, Brett. I love the idea that he's
I mean,
has zero tolerance for her at this point. Even
and John and Randy have such great comic timing together.
they do. Your little friend is inside.
And the fact that
After he enters.
the fact that he has to walk in, the first thing he sees is, he's confronted with the guy who he doesn't respect, whose idea he stole.
I like that there is, and obviously this is not an accident, that this is a parallel to his scene with Roger.
Right.
And to me, it's one of the things where you get a twist in the story by just being honest about what would happen. The kid doesn't say, I'm not an idiot, I'm going to do this, you have to give me this, you have to give me that. He says, you took my idea, that's all I have. I'm trying to turn this into a job.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not a job.
I don't have to buy it. I could just use it. Take the money.
I don't need money.
And there's also great about how mean he can be here even when he's giving him the job. Because he really is disgusted.
That's all I have. Well, that and my ideas.
That is played with pathos to me. That is like a legitimate feeling of like what he has to hustle. And this scene is just a declension of domination to me. And what, Ken is easygoing. We've seen that he's a little darkened by working in another firm, and as he's gotten older and he's engaged, but we know their history. We know that they were both heads of accounts at the other agency because of Lane, and that he was picked over Pete. And here's Pete's chance to basically say, if you're coming here, I'm important and you have to listen to me. And I love...
Me too.
I mean, Aaron does a whole great job with this body language coming in. When he sees Pete sitting there waiting for him, you can just see it. He's like, okay, what's he gonna try and pull now?
Right.
What's that supposed to mean?
And then
he knows him, and then Pete's like pulling rank on him in a very repeated way.
right, right here Ken is not believing that Pete actually has the authority to do that.
Right.
Right.
And in the unspoken part of this exchange, he realizes he's got to
Yeah.
relent or he's not going to get the job.
Right.
Yeah, he recognizes that he's got to bow down.
And instead his smile fades, and it was very hard to show him actually being submissive. But this really helps. That's Vincent.
So,
That comes from inside. That's when he's channeling Pete.
how are the wedding plans coming?
The fake casualness. And I'm not going to lie that this is a bit of physical humor that I saw on the page, and thank God saw in the dailies. I mean,
I love
Lizzie,
this.
look how big she is too.
But I also love that Danny is actually taking Don's limp hand and forcing him to shake hands with him.
And you're not part of the family.
And photographically, I love this.
Yeah, this is the incredible nature of the set.
Yeah, Dan
Great
Bishop.
shot, but also great shot. Just the foreground and everybody in there.
And the reflection. And
I hired Jane's cousin.
so now Don's being magnanimous.
Right. And Roger is licking his wounds because he's thinking about his whole life and thinking about how he hired Don, and he never has really gotten credit for it. That's part of the reflected glory. It is strange. Not everybody who does. Roger doesn't want to be a creative, but he certainly wants to win an award.
Yeah.
And I always think he was
I'll give it back if you just
trying to decide what he was actually going to do with Don's Clio. Because it's in the cupboard. It's not like
Right.
sitting out on the...
That was wrong.
And every once in a while, he says that happens. They both know what the drinking is about.
Thank you.
But there's a real sincerity here. This emotionally got to me when I watched it. And I love this push in on Roger. And
The interesting thing is Don never actually says thank you, though. He says that was wrong.
no, he does actually say thank you and shake his hand, doesn't he?
Would you leave me alone?
Well, we'll have to rewind it. I meant him to say thank you. Maybe I cut it out. And of course, this is the kind of thing that I love. It makes me nervous when we do it, but I love it because it worked, which is the audience understands when this thing ends that Roger probably didn't hire Don.
Right.
He was just drunk and Don forced it. How different is that than Danny? Everybody's trying to get up there and so forth.
Yeah.
And there is Scott Hornbacher, the director's wife, in the background page.
Great song.
And Scott,
use.
you brought this song in? Was this you?
No, It's interesting. This is a clever misunderstanding because there's a
this song.
song called "Ladder of Success."
Yeah.
And I mentioned it, and either you or Blake thought I meant this version of the song.
I love the song, and I love that it was literally pointing in this drunken fog, which is the way that people get jobs in this business, and
It's the exact
and that
same
Don's in
sentiment.
trouble. Yeah.
It's the exact same sentiment of the song I was thinking of. It's just tonally much
Oh, really?
much brighter, which is good. It works better than what I thought of.
That's so weird. Anyway, thank you. This is to me was like really the sweet spot of the season. This is the fact that you pulled this thing off with all those locations. This is a 8-day schedule, and emotionally, it's just very resonant to me.
Well, fantastic script, and I was very pleased to be the one to get to shoot it.
Well, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Bye bye.